Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is HitokiriSingh. Got a really great topic for a video. I had a subscriber request, and basically he was asking, how do you increase your damage? And that's going to be the title of this video. Let's talk about the skills and the decorations you'll need to have to instantly increase your damage. There's certain things you want to know about things like affinity and things like that, and we're going to discuss it all. So here we go. So basically, he just got the Fatalis set, and that's what we're going to discuss here. Of course, you can do this with any set. The Fatalis set has all these wonderful jewel slots. So this is why we're going to kind of talk about it right now. He's got this set, and he joked that he kind of got carried into getting the set, and I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. When we're first farming Fatalis, we all get carried to get this equipment, So once you have it and you're starting to think, hey, I want to increase my damage, how do I do this? Well, let's talk about every single skill that's going to do this for you. The utmost important thing the guys have to understand is affinity and critical hits. This is the base to understanding how to increase your damage. So the Fatalis Zagaspanin has a minus 30% affinity. What does that mean? Well, what that means is 70% of my hits are going to do normal damage, and 30% of my hits are going to do minus 25% damage. So only 75% of the damage it would normally do. Now these are zero critical hits. 70% are going to do regular damage, 30% are going to do minus 25% damage. So basically 75% of your overall damage. This is horrible. What we want from our affinity is 100%. We want every single hit that we do to be a critical hit. Why? Critical hits do 25% more damage. So let's say my attack is based 1155. Critical hits are going to do 25% more, 125% damage. So the basis of any build is going to be for attack to instantly increase your attack. Rule number one is get your affinity to 100%, and this is how we're going to do it. So the Zagaspanin is horrible. It comes with a minus 30% affinity. Now, if you're running a build like a maximum might build, you don't have to do these specific augments. You can do other ones. You can do like an attack increase and a health regen, and that'll fill you up. But for any other build, you're going to need the level 1 affinity that comes from these augments. Actually gives you 10% increase affinity. So it goes from minus 30 to minus 20. And level 2 only does 5%. So you don't really need anything past the first one. Just the first one to get that nice 10% chunk, okay? After that, we're going to do health regen. Health regen is very important to make sure you don't cart, make sure you don't have to worry about playing too defensively, but also in an offensive way. You're going to want to proc peak performance. Peak performance is a plus 20 raw damage when your health is full. So this is how you're going to constantly keep that procced. And it's actually a defensive stat as far as getting health back, but it's also an offensive stat of creating a situation of proccing peak performance constantly to get that extra attack damage. Also, please note that the damage you are outputting is directly related to how much health you get back. So the more and more damage you're doing to these monsters, and this is why we're going to increase our damage in this build, is you're going to get more and more health back, and these bars get filled up very quickly when the build is done right. So it's actually a bit of an offensive damage increase to be able to proc that peak performance. And the last thing we're going to do is the elemental increase. It just does an increase in damage to my dragon damage from 150 to 180. It's slight, but as long as a monster is anything over 1 star weak to dragon, 1, 2, or 3, as long as it's not immune, it's going to do some more damage to have some more dragon. So you have 1 slot available, you have that as your choice, you might as well fill it up. I know my sword doesn't look like the Fatalis Zagaspanin. I just use a layered armor for Kolv. That's basically what I do, so I just think it looks cooler. Okay, so that's all you really need to do with your Zagaspanin. Get it set up with your augments like that. You're gonna have to farm some stuff in the Guiding Lands to get that, but you can get that. Okay. Now let's build the build. Okay. So what we have here, I have the Frostfang helm, and that Frostfang helm If you watch the Ultimate God of Destruction, you'll understand why I run the Frostfang Helm with my Fatalis set. The Fatalis waste is always going to be the alpha because you want the 3 crit eye instead of the 2, and you get an extra weakness exploit. And everything else is going to be the beta, Frostfang Helm, and your charm is going to be your challenger charm, and we'll get into the mantles and everything like that, okay? So for now, we're just talking about affinity. We just basically went from -30 to -20, and now we want to go further. So basically, I have already 5 levels of crit eye, so let's go ahead and max that out. Crit eye each level increases your affinity by 5%, but however, from level 6 to level 7 goes from 30 to 40%. It's a 10% increase. It's like the level 1 increase to the Zagaspanin we just did with the augmentation. So it's a nice big chunk, and you want to do that, okay? So where does that have me now? This has me at 20% overall affinity with my augmentation and maxing out my crit eye. Wonderful. So now, at least bare minimum, 80% of my hits are regular hits, 20% of my hits are doing 125% damage, none of my hits are doing negative 25% damage. All right, now let's build the attack even more. So we want to get our affinity up, and how do we do this? Let's get it up another 5% and get some attack up by doing attack boost 4. You want to grind. You want to get, your attack boost 4. These are rare gems, of course. Your expert 4 is rare too, but you get at least one of them. You just get in the game by playing through. So my build, you only need one of them, so you never have to really grind for multiple one of those. But these you will want to. Alternatively, you can use combination attack boost ones, like you can use. Where is it? Like 3 jumping attacks and maybe 1 flying attack, because that synergizes with your glider mantle that we'll be wearing and increases the damage of jumping attacks by 30%. So that's a damage increase right there. Jumping attack I just like because it extends your rolls, and you can get out of any situation. So it's always kind of my go-to mixed attack jewel if I use something like that. But really, honestly, you want to save your jewel slots, because if you use that, you might have to drop some other damage-inducing skills like Coalescence and things like that. But, if you don't have it, you don't have it. You can work around it a little bit, Okay, so Attack Boost 4 is going to instantly give us another 5% affinity. Let's just show that. Level 1... Not defense jewels. There it goes. Level 1 attack plus 3 plus 6 blah blah blah. Level 4 plus 12 plus 5% affinity. 5, 6, and 7 levels has the 5% affinity, but that's not stacking. That's not additional 5%. That's just the same 5% transfers down. So level 4 is all you really need for the 5% affinity, but we are going to go ahead and max out to level 7 because I don't really need to run too much defensive stuff, so I just go all attack, So right now our affinity is 25%. Wonderful. Let's build that up even more, okay? How do we do it even more? Okay, so we have the Challenger Charm, which gives us level 5 Agitator. We're going to go ahead and use this Challenger 4 jewel. You want to max out your Agitator. Why is this? Level 7 Agitator, when the monster is agitated, and this happens constantly, about 70% of the fight the monster is going to be agitated, is going to be enraged. So at level 7, this grants a plus 28 raw attack boost, which is one of the biggest boosts you get in this game, and an increase in affinity by 20%. Okay, so that's... It is somewhat relative to when they're enraged, but they're enraged so often you can pretty much include that in your 25% affinity as 45% affinity because the overwhelming time they're going to be enraged, okay? So we are still working on our affinity right now. We're not even getting into some of these other skills, but one thing I do want to talk about is weakness exploit. You don't have to slot this with Fatalis set if you wear the set like the way I tell you to wear it. Everything beta except for the helm, of course, being the Frostfang, and the waist being the alpha. You're going to have all 3 levels of weakness exploit, and what does this do? Attacks that hit weak spots, or if they hit a spot that has been tenderized and weakened by your Clutch Claw attack. If they're just weak spots, they do 30% increase in affinity. If they've been tenderized with the Clutch Claw attack, they do an additional 20. That's 50%. It increases your affinity 50%. So basically, you just jump on their head, soften it so it's tender, and you're going to get 50% increased affinity on that spot or any other other spot that you tenderize. If you start beating up on a leg that hasn't been tenderized, you're not going to get that affinity boost. So that's why you want to be able to, if you're not good at sticking to one part, maybe tenderize their leg and their head, so you got a couple of things to aim for. But yeah, that's what we're going to do with Agitator. This is why this is such a huge increase for damage, because it gives you the plus 28 just raw attack boost, but an additional 20% affinity, which is very, very important to get that damage up. Okay, so now basically, if you add it all up, we're about 95% affinity, 45 plus the 50 for this, and that's practically 100% for a longsword. You can get 100 or over with, let's say, maximum might, or if you do things like have an affinity booster or play with like a hunting horn main that can do a spell that does, you can get higher affinity, but that's practically all you need. So the next thing we want to do is we got our affinity to 100% when we're hitting the monster's weak spots, which we are creating, and it's a lot easier to do. When the game first came out, weakening a monster's part only lasted 90 seconds. Now it lasts 3 minutes. It's plenty of time to do huge damage, plenty of time. Okay, so now we got 100% affinity. All our attacks do 125% damage. Let's build that up even further. Why? This is where critical boost comes into play. Critical boost. Each level, you have a 25% increase as your critical hits, just as normal as what a critical hit does. Level 1 increases to 30%. Level 2 it increases it even further to 35%. Level 3 is what we're going to do, 40%. So now instead of doing 25% more damage for your critical hits, you're going to do 40% more damage, and that is hugely, hugely significant. I'm going to slot in... I'll explain why maintenance is going to be offensively helpful too, but let's get our critical boost maxed, and I'm going to do that with these critical maintenance jewels. Okay, so now what do we have? We have 100% affinity, and every hit that we're going to do on a tenderized monster part is going to do a critical hit, and now our critical hit is going to do even more damage than it was doing before. Okay, now how do we move this even further? Okay, so I was talking about your recovery up, your health regen, and your weapon. So we're going to synergize that with peak performance. We're going to use flawless medicine jewels. We're going to use 3 of these. These aren't super rare. I think they're rarity 11. So these are much easier to come across. So we're going to max this out, and then we'll talk about it. Flawless medicine, and flawless medicine. Okay, so what's the importance of this? I just discussed about how the more damage we do, the more health we get back, and that's what recovery up is going to do. So whatever recovery we're now getting back, we're getting an additional 30% on top of that. So let's say your attack string was normally going to give you 200 HP back. Now it's going to give you 260. So you'll notice that you're constantly going to be topping up your health with this. And why is that important? For peak performance. When your health is full, at level 3, that's where we're going to be at. We don't want to mess with 5, 10, or level 1 or 2. We always want to be level 3. That's a plus 20 attack boost. That's almost as much as the Challenger. So now you have a plus 20 attack boost when the monster, when you are at full health, and plus 28 when he is enraged. And these are going to be situations that you're constantly in. You don't even have to think about it. You're just going to be in those situations most of the time, getting these damage boosts. Okay. All right. Let's take it a step further. We got 100% affinity. We got our critical attacks doing 140% damage. Now we're just trying to add as much raw attack power as we can. The next important thing, well, let's talk about this actually. Make sure you have your shaver jewel, guys. We're talking about softening parts. Shaver for longsword, make sure that happens in 1 hit, so you can quickly do the head and maybe the arms or the tail, whatever you might want to soften or cut off or whatever. So this just allows you to do it quickly and go into beating up the monster and getting some parts. The next important skill that's going to increase your damage is coalescence. Why is coalescence very important? Hold on, let me just get a sip of my coffee. Check out what it does. So we're going to do level 3. When active, grants a plus 18 attack boost raw, a plus 90% elemental attack boost, and a status buildup of 15% if you're going to run sleep or blast, or I think, yeah, blast is under that, paralysis, that kind of stuff. It's going to increase everything across the board. And so what happens, it's when you recover from a blight. So things like burning, bleeding, ice blight, water blight, thunder blight, like the blight that builds up stun damage if you get shocked. All this stuff, if you get stunned and you recover from that, what's going to happen is that once you recover, you're going to get all those buffs to your attack, basically. So we want to run Coalescence, and I don't really run any defense, like any of my resistances are going to be over 20, because I want the blights, and I'm going to carry null berries in my inventory. So as soon as I get a blight that I can get rid of with a null berry, I use that. If I'm burning, I just roll out of it. If I'm bleeding, I generally just pause and get it back, or I do have immunizers, which helps with that too. I don't really ever run any bleed resistance. But anyways, okay, so now we want to max out Coalescence. Let's do that with Tool Specialist. I like to have that at level 3. Alright, and then let's do one more with Evasion. I also like to have my Evasion at level 3. Anything higher than level 3 for Evasion can be useful. I don't want to say it's useless, but there's just very, very few attacks that a level 3 Evasion would not be able to handle, and a level 5 one could. You know what I mean? Alright, and then we always want to have 2 Handicraft. Handicraft is pretty important for your damage because you don't want to have to stop and sharpen all the time. You want to be able to be at the monster and be slaughtering him pretty good. Where is it? Where is it? It's somewhere. Jesus, how did I lose this? There it goes. Handicraft 4. And then the rest is really up to you guys. If you wanted to have some like it's ice resistance against a Valkana, you can use a hard resist or anything like that. But again, I don't like to. I like to proc my Coalescence, so I'm gonna keep those all at -20. Now, if you did, because here's an important thing, you want to always eat for your attack boost large. So if you did want to have some kind of ice resistance, fire resistance, bleed resistance, whatever, do it in your build with these last few spots right here, because attack boost 4 we already have, and that's going to be a increase of 12. If we max it out to attack boost 7, that's 21. That's only an increase of 9 raw attack, right? So if you do your defense in your build that allows you to eat attack boost large, you're getting plus 50 on your attack. So you're getting much more attack power if you can eat for attack boost large. So if there are anything defensive that you want to put in your build, any blights you want to negate, anything like that, make sure you do it in your build. But I don't do that. I just go ahead and max out my attack. So I have attack boost 7. Okay, I wear my temporal and glider mantles. These are very offensive as well. So the way I set up my maintenance jewels, and again, this is all described in the Ultimate God of Destruction build, and I will link that in the comments. It basically creates a situation where whenever one of my mantles is done, the other one is ready. And I have in my temporal, I have 2 extra dragons slotted in there just to get additional damage on, you know, anything that's weak, even 1-star weak to dragon. That's typically the mantle I'm using to do wall bangs, get him down on the ground. So it's not like I need any defensive help or anything like that. So I just want to get as much damage as I can in those situations. My glider, I have so many varied uses for them, including attacking, jumping up and doing aerial attacks with higher damage, stun, stuff like that. I have my other 2 maintenance jewels in here, so my maintenance is maxed out when I'm wearing my glider. This allows me to switch into temporal every time my glider is done, and I have 2 knockouts in there to help with the Frostfang Helm's punishing draw to get some more knockout stun damage. But basically that's it. These are the skills you want to accentuate whatever your build is. And I know if you don't have the Fatalis, you're not going to have all these jewel slots. But your preference is going to be number one, get your affinity up, so crit eye, weakness, exploit. A preference, the important thing two, sorry, I feel like that scene in Kenshin. Very important point number two is going to be your critical boost. So once you have your affinity up, so you can get all your 100% critical hits, you want to make sure all those critical hits are doing as much damage as possible, 40% damage. You want to make sure you have at least attack boost 4s for that attack boost and that increase in your affinity. Agitator, you want maxed, plus 28, plus 28 raw damage, plus 20 affinity. Peak performance, that's going to, of course, synergize with your recovery up, and all of this is going to actually be offensive. It's going to increase your offense. And then, you know, things like Tool Specialist, Coalescence, these are things you can play with if you want to max out your Divine Blessing or Slug. Well, in this build, you can do Slugger, but remember, guys, if you're not wearing the Frostfang Helm or you don't have Punishing Draw, you have no stun attack, so there's no ever use to running Slugger unless you have Frostfang Helm on or your Impact Mantle. Yeah, and that's about it. That's the skills, but there are a couple other things you want to know to permanently increase your damage as well. Okay, and this is going to be your inventory items. Hopefully everybody knows about this kind of stuff, but you have these 4 items: your Armor Charm, your Power Talon, and your Armor Talon. The Armor Charm and the Power Charm can be purchased, what's the name of that hub? Your base game hub, Astera. Yeah, Astera, there's that guy that sells it after a certain mission. You can go ahead and buy it from him. I just don't remember. This is base game, not Iceborne. So you buy your Armor Charm, Power Charm. Armor Charm increases your defense by flat 5 permanently as long as it's in your inventory. So you just want to keep it slotted in there. Power Charm increases your attack by 5 permanently as long as it's in there. Power Talon increases it by 10 permanently, and Armor Talon increases your defense by 10 permanently. Power Talon and Armor Talon you get by getting a Basil Geese Talon when you fight him in the base game, and then you craft it with the Power Charm and the Power Charm and the Armor Charm, and you get these two, and then you go back to the same guy and buy another Power Charm and Armor Charm, so you can have all 3 of those for a 15 increase in attack and in defense. And the last thing you guys always want to do is always take your mega armor skin, your demon drugs. These are going to be a permanent increase to your attack, significant. I just forgot the exact number. And your mega armor skin, if you don't have that, you can use the regular ones, but I'm going to show you an easy way to get those too. But these are huge increases. If you faint, they wear off. So even if you do faint, you know, you just have this preset in one of your items list, and then you just take it again after you wake up from your cart, and boom, it's active again. Okay, so the easy way to farm or get these guys is you can get those Steam tickets from the Steamworks, and if you're melding these, where are they? There you go. And you'll have, if you do the Steamworks any decent amount of time, you're gonna have crap tons of Steam tickets. It's a 1-to-1 conversion, so every Steam ticket gives you 1 demon drug, you know. Every 10 gives you 10, blah, 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 or armor skin, whatever you want to do. That's an easy way to get those. And of course, I'm sorry, that wasn't the last thing. The very last thing, and this is kind of one of the most important things, because this is the biggest attack boost you get in the game, is when you eat, you always want to eat for, oops, I didn't even mean to eat. And I ate the wrong meal, so don't pay attention to what I actually just ate. Dear God. What have I done? Can I just see a meal? Anyways, you want to eat for attack boost large always. I like to eat for attack boost large with Feline Slugger, because that goes with the stun ability with my Frostfang Helm. But that's about it. That's going to be a 50, I believe, increase to your raw attack. That's the biggest one in the game. So if you do have, again, if you want to put some defensive stuff, ice resistance, bleed resistance, put that in your build. You don't want to eat for those resistances because you're going to miss out on a huge damage buff. And like I said, in my build, you can take out an attack 4 and attack 1, and now you have the space to max out something. And even if it's like a hard fire resist jewel, you just need one of those jewel slots instead of both of them. So, yeah, and that's about it, guys. This is going to instantly increase your damage regardless of what build you're using. It's just going to depend on how many slots you have available to prioritize which skills you want to use, you know. But bare necessity, crit eye, crit boost, weakness exploit, get your affinity to 100%. That's going to be the beginnings of getting as much damage as you can, but it's also going to be the beginnings of you seeing huge and noticeable increases in your damage. All those 50, 60, 70 damage hits are now going to be 120, 140, 130, things like that. You're going to start to notice it instantly, and you're going to like it. And the more and more space you become available in your builds, the more and more skills you can add until you're seeing those numbers pop at like 200-300, you know, 400-500 if you get them with heavy attacks in the right situation, you know. You're going to see some really nice numbers with the longsword. Well, anyways, I hope everybody enjoyed this information. If you did, please give me a like, subscription, comments. Like I've been saying in other videos, I have really good numbers as far as once people see my videos, they like it, they click it, they share it, all that good stuff, but I just don't have a lot of reach. So if you guys can help me get a good reach going by giving me these likes and comments and buzz on some of my videos, that would be so awesome. Thank you very much for your time. I will see you on the flip side, and see ya. Oh, one last thing. If any other subscriber has a request on Monster Hunter, Tekken, anything like that, I love doing this stuff, guys. Let me know. I'll make a video just for you. Have a good one. See ya.